Last week, we went on the Elon Musk farewell tour, thanking the Doge father for his service as a government employee. Well, Elon has wasted no time in exercising his freedom now as a private citizen. He took a shot at the big, beautiful bill on X, saying, quote, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had this to say in response.
Cross Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president on this bill, it doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. Yeah. Cameron.
Here to unpack all of the drama is Blaze Media DC correspondent Chris Bedford. So, I mean, we know that this is going on right now in DC. Trump and Elon, they're friends. Elon, though, he can't hold it in anymore. He needs the spending cuts. What's happening right now in DC?
Well, first a question. Is Doge Father a Savage original?
Yeah, yes.
That's among your best work. I loved it.
Thank you.
I might have to steal that one. So here's the deal. There's a conflict of visions in a way here. Donald Trump, if you've gone to his rallies, I know you guys have, and most of the viewers probably have over the last 9 years or so. If you've gone to his rallies, you've heard him talk about mass deportations of illegal gangs and illegal alien criminals who are here, closing the border, shutting down fentanyl, crossing the border to try and solve the American drug crisis that's killing so many people. He's talked about reindustrialization. He's talked about ending the war in Ukraine on terms that somehow bring peace to that region after all the carnage. These are the things that he's talked about. Law and order, getting rid of DEI, strengthening the American military, but also getting out of foreign wars. One of the things he's never really talked about is this kind of Tea Party aspect, this, as Elon would say, radicals for limited government philosophy that Elon brought. But Elon also brought a lot of money. He brought a lot of cool. He brought some interesting advice. He brought some great ideas that go a long way toward actually trying to fix the government. The USAID stuff right now, which has been put forward to the House of Representatives to make those cuts permanent as of yesterday. He brought the Department of Education cuts that conservatives have promised for decades and decades without ever actually delivering on. Some really great stuff. But he's also brought an outsider's perspective on what's accomplishable. There's a classic thing I've seen with very wealthy people, not as wealthy as Elon, but people like whether it's Charles Koch or others, David Koch, who assume that all that Washington is lacking is their business acumen, and that the people here actually really do mean to do well, and that they want to save the country and they want to balance the budget, and that's why they came here. And it's unfortunately just not very true. Donald Trump has to deal with that reality. He has to deal with the fact that Collins and Murkowski and other folks never want to go back to the COVID levels of spending, or they would have actually done it. He has to deal with the fact that, well, Ron Johnson and Rand Paul have extremely admirable political ideas, and they're completely correct, and their ideas would seem rather reasonable in any single city on the planet except for Washington, D.C. They didn't win the national mandate. Trump did, and he won it on different things, and it wasn't Medicaid changes, it wasn't Medicare changes, it wasn't any of that sort of stuff. So, well, it can be helpful. He doesn't have the votes in the Senate, and they barely got it through the House of Representatives. So this is a pork-filled bill in some ways. There's a lot of corruption and a lot of the spending, but at the same time, the entire Trump administration's policies and promises and the funding for them are contained in this Build Back Better bill, this big, beautiful bill, excuse me, that they're trying to push right now. That's the Trump administration's agenda. They have to deal with that reality, and the hopes to be able to cut more, unfortunately, just like always, have to be kicked down the road until you get a different Senate. So if Musk decides to start going after people like in Alaska. I mean, it makes no sense going after the rhino from Maine. That's a +8 Kamala Harris state. You're not going to get a more conservative person there. But you absolutely could in Alaska. You absolutely could in North Carolina. You absolutely could in Oklahoma. You could totally primary these people. You could take them out, and you could put in people who really share your vision. Tanking the president's agenda, though, is not going to be a helpful aspect of that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a really important point because it's why Donald Trump is so rare. We've seen this our entire lives when you have people in business who say they're going to go make the system better. But it reminds me of what they said about when Eisenhower was going in, and it's not going to be like the military. It's not going to be like being CEO.
No.
You're going to tell people to do things, and it's not going to happen because that ain't how it works in our system. So many times you'll hear people say, run it like a business, and they don't actually understand the business you're in, and the business of government is different. It doesn't work that way. There's some of that classic element here of Elon walking away, throwing up his hands like, you got to be kidding me, and I thought I was going to be able to do it. But that leaves the question of what does he do next, and does he leave politics? So first off, Elon has a very clear mission in his life. He's not like this is transparent. It's obvious, and that has to do with his businesses, but above all, making us, getting us to Mars in a transplanetary species, interplanetary species. That's what he wants us to become. That's his main mission. So all of this, in a way, is secondary. Yet he is such a powerful figure, and he has been so successful. If it is a secondary goal that in order to get to Mars, he needs to get rid of DEI, well, damn it, he'll get rid of DEI. So it's hard for me to see him leaving politics, and he tweeted today, in November next year, we fire all politicians who betrayed the American people. I mean, there's a cynical political side of me that sort of, wants to smile about that, but there's a very serious side to this where the last thing that the administration should want is for him to completely walk away. The bickering is sort of ridiculous. He would be a huge asset moving forward to get rid of a lot of these Republicans who do stand in the way of Trump's agenda.
Yes, he would. And his influence has been felt strongly in the way that the Senate has been more cautious in some of the stuff and less outspoken in some of the stuff. And his presence could seriously be felt in the future. I mean, Musk is a mercurial political figure. These are not the beliefs that he was espousing 5 years ago, and he'll say that by his own account. So, of course, you always have to wonder, these are the beliefs that he's going to be espousing in a couple more years. I kind of lean toward what you think, which is that DEI and other cancers in the American society really are a hindrance to the ability to develop serious technology. I mean, if you think about it, the last 40 years, people aside from Elon Musk, 50 years, haven't really actually accomplished huge leaps and bounds in American technology. At least that's publicly available. The great invention of the last 30 years was the smartphone and the iPad, the iPod. These were the great geniuses, and they have small impacts on people's lives. They can certainly change the way that we operate, sometimes in a very bad way. But it's not like the great accomplishments of earlier men in the 20th century, scientific accomplishments. And that's what Elon Musk is actually contributing. When you see him land a rocket ship, that is a leap and bound in what the world is able to achieve, mankind's able to achieve. So he's committed to that, to your point. But it doesn't mean he's always going to be a close ally. I mean, I do remember sitting in the room with Charles Koch and his lieutenants in 2009, 2010, and them saying, this is a fight we are committed to help fundamentally reshape the political Republican Party, and by doing so, reshape the Republic. And we know it'll be a long march. Well, like 2 or 3 years later, they saw the red ink. They saw Republicans who were corrupt and were unwilling to actually do this, and they took their ball and they went home, or they started playing with left-wingers instead. So there's always that risk, and you have to be careful too. The American right has such a propensity to embrace anyone, whether it's Bill Maher says something good, or Anderson Cooper comes out and says immigration's destroying America, or whoever comes out and agrees with a couple points, they become very loyal to that person. The difference with Elon, though, is how much money and capital he's able to bring. And that's something the MAGA movement has completely lacked in the previous years. He could be an essential ally.
We got 60 seconds left. I mean, the one irony of this, though, is that of all the disagreements to have, Elon sounds like a classic old conservative. I mean, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's saying some crazy new thing for the right. The thing he's kind of stomping off about is the same complaint that since time immemorial conservatives have had. It's sort of funny.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. But we're in a culture war right now, and the Trump agenda is trying to really change who your neighbors are and who's running your cities. And that for them, at least, is the primary goal.
Yes.
We want spending cuts. We want them now. The deadline is July 4th, America's birthday. I don't know that this is going to be a nice, beautiful package for Donald Trump there on his desk by the 4th of July. But Bedford, I'm sure you'll be keeping us up to date.
We'll be watching closely.